Welcome back to the Tiffany and Tyrone podcast. Today is going to be a very special episode because we want to liberate you from any narcissistic abusive relationship that you're participating in. We want to encourage you that if you've been suffering from any kind of symptoms and effects of being abused, we want you to hold on, gray rock your way out of this one, and keep going, taking care of yourself. Stay focused. Do not go back. Do not be hoovered in. Yeah?
Awesome advice.
Yeah, today's going to be powerful because we're going to be talking about when those lies appear to be true. We're going to be talking about the effects that the gaslighting has on you when you start to believe the lies that you've been told as well. And the evidence has been presented to you by your narcissist to support the belief that your narcissist has that you're doing the thing that's hurting them. And you're totally confused, but you start to believe it. You start to feel uncomfortable because the things that they're presenting as evidence almost incriminates you. It makes it look like, see, this is true. Now, I know I've started off in the middle, so let me just kind of back this up so I can give some good context for you.
Yeah.
So this week we've been reflecting on lies. It's a follow-up from the last episode. We've experienced a lot of lies in our past relationships. I've been suffering for years from the effects of the lie that I was cheating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems to be the go-to. It's really weird.
Yeah. And often be totally confused. It's like, what? Yeah, let me search your phone. I was like, why would you want to search my phone? This is private to me. Oh, you have something to hide? It's like, well, no. They're like, here's your phone. And then they search your phone. And then look at this text. Who's this you're texting with? It's a female name. Oh, that's a client. Like, I just put her first name in. Oh, I don't know who she is. Yeah, because it's business. It's none of your business. Like,
Yeah.
you go to work. I don't come to your workplace asking who are these men you're talking to. Like, but why are you coming to my phone and looking at my clients' names? And because it's not familiar to you, you're thinking that, look, see, you're cheating with this person. You've arranged to meet them at this time. That's called an appointment. That's what appointments were.
Yeah. Then I was like, they, what I found out about narcissists, they truly believe their lies are true.
But it made it up.
Yeah, absolutely made up.
Like, it came from nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
but inside of their minds. But the beauty of what they're able to do, this creation of something from nothing, is that they act on it like if it is real.
Absolutely.
And everything that they do supports the existence of this light.
Mm-hmm.
And then they drag you into the light and show you the evidence by searching your stuff
Mm-hmm.
and proving that what they're saying about you must be true.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, did they really let that client? Well, I don't know now because I'm so confused. I never looked at her like that. Well, you better be careful with this person because, see, look at this thing here. Why would she say that? They used to like confuse my poor little brain. I used to be like, I don't know. And those were the early days.
Mm-hmm.
The repeated experience of being lied to almost every day. And that person acted like if that lie is true. Oh boy. Your mind starts to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're doing now is that you start to create these defenses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, always have to explain yourself.
Yes. Because you want to get ahead of any new lies. So
Mm-hmm.
you start to say, okay, well, here's where I'm going, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I'm doing, just so you know. And before you realize it, every last shred of your individuality is lost.
Yeah.
And you spend all day long thinking about, and you don't realize it, but you're thinking about what pleases your narcissist and
Hmm.
what displeases your narcissist.
Yeah.
And you're trying to stay on make them happy, planet.
I didn't realize when I was in these relationships how much shit was going through my head constantly, all day, all night, just repeated. I would like make up scenarios in my mind. Like if I wanted to talk to him about something, I would create the scenario in my mind and I would try to predict his comments or his answers, and then I would follow up with what I was gonna say next. And like when I got out of it, but after about a month, like my head felt empty. All of that, all of that bullshit was gone. All of that stuff I used to think about and like stress over constantly. It was just, it's like there was nothing in there. And I realized how much actually goes through your head when you're in one of these relationships.
Because the effect is they have set that lie into your head now. Because they're the ones with problem here,
Yeah.
Like they're creating these scenarios because something has probably happened to them in their childhood, some traumatic event, that has had an effect on them. And unfortunately, they're constantly replaying it in their mind. And when you're dealing with a narcissist, their problem is your problem.
Oh yeah, of course.
Now, if you have a problem or if you have something that is important to you and it's not important to them, it's not important. And wife's happiness or your partner's happiness is not your responsibility. Period.
Everybody's responsible for their own happiness.
Exactly.
Someone can add to it, absolutely, but you are responsible for your happiness, nobody else.
Yeah, in a functional relationship, you should never lose your individuality.
Mhm. Which we learned the hard way, yeah.
Yeah. What you should be, first of all, is just happy.
Mhm.
And then you can share your happiness with that other person.
Yeah.
And if that other person is also happy, they're sharing their happiness with you.
Mhm.
But the concept that they try to tell you is no, you have to make that person happy. So you're responsible for moving them from a state of unhappiness
Mhm.
into a state of happiness. Or you're responsible for sustaining their state of happiness. That'd be crazy. That's why your relationships don't work. You cannot truly make a person happy. It's literally impossible.
Yeah.
Like you could do the same thing twice, and they'll be happy with this one and not with the next one.
Mhm.
Like we try to joke around, like when people say, if you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? People, I'll eat pizza. Yeah, 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 I get it. That's how you feel. You try
Mhm.
eating pizza every day.
Yeah, no, it doesn't last long.
Exactly. You can eat it every day if you want to, but your happiness dwindles. Simple as that. No, here's one for you. So I've been trying to think sometimes, like when we're having these conversations, can I remember what happened to me specifically when I'm experiencing the sensation of being lied to and feeling like if it's true?
Mhm.
And one of the effects of this gaslighting is my brain shuts down. I cannot remember the incidents.
Yeah,
I realize that you're able to sometimes recall yours.
yeah, sometimes. Well, the major ones I definitely remember.
Yeah, I struggle.
Yeah, it's and it's not even like the major ones are just that. They're the major ones. It's the little ones, the ones that are consistently pounded into your head, the little things.
The micro experiences that actually do program you effectively.
Hmm.
Okay, the major ones are usually a test. to see how far they've been able to program you, and then you just fall into the trap. But the small ones, you're feeling the feeling,
Mm-hmm.
but you just don't know what's happening to your brain in that moment.
Yeah.
And that's the tricky part about it, right? So they make up your life, they act like if it's true, then they search your stuff to find evidence to prove their life.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as they find something that looks suspicious enough,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what it is, they're going to attach it to the lie as proof. And then you're going to try the best to defend yourself to say, well, no, that's not what this means. But then you realize in the moment, well, I guess it does look bad if you look at it that way. And then you start to make these adjustments. And that's why your behavior changes. Because now you're on guard. You're feeling that thing that says, I need to adjust my behavior so this person remains happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this lie, they believe that you're cheating.
Mhm.
That's it's really interesting how similar our experiences
Yeah.
are with these people. So the last one, um, so we work together,
Mhm.
used to work
Yeah.
together, and yeah, he never liked the idea that I worked with men, two men or three at one time. But yeah, when we started like becoming friends,
Mhm.
obviously he did not like that because you like a man and a woman can't be friends. That's what society says. If
Mhm.
you're a man and a woman, you cannot be platonic friends. Like it's impossible. And that's another lie they believe.
Yeah.
They absolutely believe that lie. But we proved to ourselves, not to them,
Mhm.
because they believe their lies. We proved to ourselves that it is possible,
Absolutely.
absolutely possible.
Yeah.
You just have to have the two functional people that
Couple
have
choices.
no intentions of that whatsoever. And I don't like again, they believe the lie that can't be true. And yeah, so he convinced himself that I was cheating on him.
Mhm.
And he stuck with that. Like that's another thing they do. They believe this lie and they stick to it. They stick to their guns no matter what. I tried to tell him the truth so many times. Not tried. I told him the truth so many times. Oh, he's become my really good friend and like he is the safe male figure that I never had growing up. That's what he represents to me. And I thought that would convince him that I was not cheating. But no, no, no. That did not convince him. I think that maybe he thought that I was just trying to justify it somehow. Well, I know he thought that. So yeah, the whole time, the whole what, 3 years
Mhm.
after we started becoming good friends,
Yeah.
yeah, we we had a trip coming up to
Yeah.
do a
Yes. Yeah.
project,
Yeah.
and he'd already, been uncomfortable with our friendship. And I was talking to him about the trip, and he's asking me, yeah, you're gonna have two separate rooms, right? Of course we are. Like the company's not gonna put us in the same. Like how stupid of a question is that? And of course we're gonna have two rooms. And then he goes to me, well, just don't fuck your boss, okay?
Mhm.
And that I was standing there stunned. I'm like, what kind of a comment is? What is this? Like,
So you have a situation where the perception is all men are dogs.
mhm. Actually, that interesting you say that. So when I was a young, or me, my two sisters, ever since we were young, my mother, she had a saying that she told us all the time. Men are scum. All the time, men are scum. We were raised in that belief that all men are scum.
So there's this concept that the only thing that all men think about is wanting to have sex with you.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So if you're working with a woman and you're a male, you're trying to figure out how you can do her.
Yep.
And it's like, wow, that's the limit for all men.
Yep.
And even as a man, somebody would literally ask me, like, if it is true. Again, we're back to the same topic, right? When the lies become true.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody walks up to you and presents you with a lie and acts like if it is true. And so they say something to me like, so you hit that, right? I was like, no, I never thought of it. I'm not even interested. I'm already in a committed relationship. I'm just not interested.
Yeah, and then
I'm
you're
not
treated
looking for, oh, come on, don't want to leave.
you're treated like some kind of freak because you're a man and you should be thinking like this.
Exactly. And I've never thought like that. I have a wonderful sister,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a great relationship with her. And over the years, I've always had female friends, and I've never therefore developed that sick kind of thinking
Yeah.
because you see, again, you come into this world, that kind of thinking has to be passed on to you. You come as a blank slate. Ain't nobody come here thinking that. And your little kids, you just play together. Ain't nobody care if you're male, female, whatever. Somebody implants that stuff into your mind.
Yeah.
So when they come to tell me, and I've seen it in many things. I remember one day, I was sitting in my office and this guy comes to see me. He's one of the vendors or something. They want to have a vendors meeting. So he's trying to connect with me, which is fine, like break the ice kind of thing, So he says, "Oh, where are you from originally?"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Why do you ask?" He said, "You have a little bit of an accent." I was like, "Yeah, yeah." "Where do you think I'm from?" He said, "Well, somewhere in the Caribbean." I was like, "Yeah, you're absolutely right." He's like, "So you smoke weed?" I was like, "No, I don't even know how to smoke. I've never smoked in my life. I do not know how to smoke." Oh, come on. You know where to get the good stuff. I was like, actually, I really don't. I I honestly do not know where. And at that time, weed was not yet legalized in Canada. So here's this guy, shoving it down my throat. Yeah, he knows that I smoke weed. I don't even know how to smoke. Like, if you give me something to smoke, I'll probably choke on it because I don't know. Like, I see people do it all the time. I don't know how to do that stuff. And I found when I lived in Canada, people tend to smoke more weed. Funny enough, than the people who live in the Caribbean.
Yeah, yeah,
It's the most amazing thing. I would have thought that, yeah, that tropical stuff grows all over the place. In the Caribbean, there's more weed in Canada. Readily available. Obviously now it's legalized and you can buy it from a shop. But even before that, there's more weed in Canada than there is in the Caribbean. But the stereotype lives.
Mm-hmm.
If you're black, you smoke weed. If you're a man, you want to fuck every woman
Mm-hmm.
that you encounter.
Well, because from a very young age, um, little boys are programmed to objectify women.
Yes. Society supports it.
Absolutely.
There's an expectation that you will.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, everybody lives in their life.
Yep.
And they expect that life to live on. Like women have been complaining about this for a while now.
Oh yeah.
Ain't somebody gonna finally stop this life from happening? Like, come on. They can be friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like just see the person as a person.
Actually, I did believe that at some point because my ex-husband, the first narc, he convinced me that it was absolutely impossible. So I believed it at some point. And like, but that wasn't my belief. I realized that was That was his belief he implanted in me, but it wasn't mine. I always knew it was possible.
But you didn't stop looking. You didn't stop believing.
Hmm.
You thought that the world has to be a better place than even,
Yeah.
what I've encountered. So yeah, I've met a number of, creeps. So what?
Hmm.
You made them hanging out in creep town.
Yeah.
All right? But nobody ever looks at it like that. Oh no, they're everywhere. No, they're not. They're everywhere in your world. But the world is bigger than your world.
Yeah. Like
And
one of my favorite sayings is, "You can't change people, but you can change people."
say that again. That sounds so good.
You can't change people, but you can change people.
That's what we've done. So when I changed the people that I hang around,
Hmm.
I began to realize, oh, well, look at this. The thing that I would love to enjoy does exist.
Hmm.
You can have functional people to have conversations with that expands your perspectives and causes your mind to grow. And you can test your truth, and then you realize there's evidence to support your truth
Hmm.
and that you're not crazy.
Yeah.
As opposed to living a lie and their supporting evidence only comes about by attaching, scenarios, coincidences
Hmm.
to support the lie.
Yeah.
Or did they use some other, existing stereotype to say, well, you can't do this because this other thing is true. Which obviously then is like this weird kind of logic. You get what I'm saying, right? Remember you were telling me a story about one time when you were, working with your ex-husband and you want to go to Vegas?
Yeah. Yeah. So he had hired this lovely, beautiful person, Tiffany. Funny enough, her name was Tiffany, and we hit it off like right away. We had some kind of like immediate connection. We got along really well from the very start, and somehow, probably through her experience, she pegged him as a narcissist, like in the interview. And she told me that the only reason she took that job was because of me. And so we had become like close. We worked together, and this one time, she and her friend were. This was in Phoenix. She was driving out to Vegas with her friend to go see, someone concert, and she invited me to go with them. And I really wanted to go, like a road trip to Vegas to see a concert with, you know, a friend.
Two women.
Yeah, here, but Vegas. I mean, so yeah, he had this rule that I couldn't be friends with his employees. That was a hard rule that he told me from the beginning. And so I asked him because I needed to ask permission to do anything because I had no friends. He had isolated me from having any friends. And so I asked him if I could go. I knew the answer already, but I was getting kind of tired of all the control. And so he said no, of course. So then I started asking questions like, well, why not? And he told me again, you can't be friends with the employees. Like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, if you guys have a falling out, then it will be, bitterness, and then I won't have an employee anymore. Anyway, so I was pushing him by asking questions because it didn't make any sense to me. And he got very, very angry. And yeah, when he got angry, I remember going back, we were driving into our neighborhood, and he would like raise his fist like he wanted to punch me. And he actually said, I just want to smash your head through that window right now. And then he went on to say, um, something to the effect of, if you do something I don't like, then I'll kill you. And I was like shocked to hear this. Somebody who's supposed to love me just threatened to kill me if I did something he didn't like. And yeah, so the effects that that hot had were pretty extreme. I remember, I think it was that day we got home. I was in the closet getting changed, and I could hear him calling me, but I physically could not say anything. I was standing there in a complete trance, like I could hear, but I could not respond. Like I don't. It was the weirdest feeling ever. And I think it was the next day or that day, I remember just sitting down, relaxing, and I just felt like it would be really easy to stop breathing. It just something kept telling me how easy it would be to stop breathing. And so a little while later, I was lying in bed, and then I stopped breathing for I don't know how long it was, and he was by my side, and I wasn't responding to him, and he started like shaking and trying to get me to wake up, and I finally started breathing again. Another time I was sitting in the chair and I felt the same thing, and I tell him about it, and he's like, "Do you need to go to the hospital?" And I said, "Yes." So we get to this hospital, and I actually had to be wheelchaired into the hospital. And at this point, I was completely like almost comatose, but I was conscious. I was awake, but it's like I guess it was like a nervous breakdown.
It was interesting. That's exactly what it.
Yeah,
You described it. That's exactly what it is.
I hadn't experienced anything that extreme. I'd experienced a lot of the trauma effects, but nothing that extreme. So I get to the hospital, they do every physical test known to man. They test my heart, they test everything. There is nothing physically wrong with me. And I remember the nurse asking him, like, did you guys have a fight or something? Or like, because they didn't understand what was wrong with me. And he actually admitted that we had an argument the day before.
So, what I want to wrap up with here today is simply this. When the lie appears to become true to the point where you start to feel like if it's true,
Hmm.
and you can see the deterioration in your physical, get what I'm saying, right? When your body starts to tell you now the story of you,
Hmm.
listen to your body, listen to your mind.
Yeah,
You got to get out.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Listeners, thank you so much for listening. We really hope our podcast has helped you to move beyond your life. Test your truth.
Absolutely. Yeah. If we could help one person, that's what we want.
That's why we tell our story. That's why we share the truth now, unapologetically.
Absolutely.
If you keep holding on to the lies and making those lies true, you're living a lie.
Yep.
And that's the truth. Enjoy your Sunday.
Thank you, everybody.